Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and flanking me once again here after we both went solo for various reasons is a one, Mr. Brian E. Roach. Brian, I'm still nasally. The allergies, the sinuses, it's got me all congested here, but I just wanted to let everybody know, I'm totally fine over here, and I guess you are as well.
I'm great. I can't complain at all. Life is good. Everything is beautiful. I'm looking at the world through rose-colored glasses.
See, Brian likes to use all of these different filters that are available with the video programs and stuff, and I don't know. He drives me crazy.
I'm a child.
Anybody who doesn't know us any better has shut this off already. Remember, I was telling you about the guy I saw on YouTube. I don't know if I had it here, but he every couple of minutes he says, "Now for the 50% of you who are still left watching," which I thought was great. And then at the very end, he's like, "For the 5% of you who are still left, well, maybe the 1% of you will like, comment, or subscribe to this channel." So that would be our YouTube channel. Of course, we're out here in Apple Podcast land, Google Podcasts. Everybody has podcasts. Even SiriusXM's doing podcasts now. We'll figure out I don't even know if we're on there, if we got to get on there, whatever's going on. Amazon, everybody's doing the podcasting, Brian. So
yes, it's a thing, man.
It really is, and we appreciate, man. I'll tell you what, everybody, you've been great out there. Not only word of mouth, but those of you maybe who don't join us regularly, the rest of you who do, we truly appreciate your support. The numbers through the roof, of course, because everyone loves a winner. The Steelers 9-0. Can they make it 10-0? Because there's already chatter now. Can they go undefeated? I hate that talk already. There's still a lot of football. There's still a lot of football left, and we're of course getting the trap game musings again. And we got some things to talk about. Hopefully I don't cough. I'll try and mute this or something. If you see me go reach for another cough drop, you'll know what I'm doing over here. I also got the L coffee, which does not work well for the product placement. They put all of these things. You got to be left-handed to drink this, and then, of course, my mic's on this side, and I can't do it. Brian's got the Red Bull. We're good on a football Friday
coffee
here.
Coffee is nasty. I can't drink that stuff.
I'm telling you, I didn't start drinking coffee. Here's what happened. I bought my wife 2 Keurigs, close to, I don't know, how old's my daughter? 7? So about that long ago. And we found out she was pregnant, like, right after that. 2? You know what I mean?
Why did you buy 2?
One for her office.
Oh, okay.
So she wanted to get into the Keurig thing, right? So I doubled down. I was the good husband here. So got one for the office, one for the home, and then she, as a precaution with pregnancy or whatever, I guess one of these things is I don't know if it's just hot beverages or coffee or what it is, but maybe it's the caffeine. So it was like she wasn't drinking coffee. So that's the first time I started drinking coffee. I haven't looked back since. I mean, a lot of people can remember the days where I just wouldn't drink a coffee. Apple juice was my thing. Apple juice would wake me up in the morning. We always talk about the breakfast foods and stuff, and I'm not going to get into that right now. But one of these days I'll have to tell you about my new favorite. We'll hold that. We'll table it for a while. So we got a lot of things to talk about here. Steelers appear to be looking healthy. I want to jump into something. I don't know. Do I jump into it now? It's going to be my prediction for the game. It has to deal with the running game. Let's talk about whether or not this could be a trap game. Because you think the Steelers, not only looking ahead, thinking they're already going to be 10-0, hosting the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. We'll have a short turnaround here when it comes to post-game, pre-game shows as well with the podcast. It's a home game at Heinz Field. I know the Ravens are probably salivating at a rematch, and I don't know. I don't see the Steelers necessarily looking past this, but at the same time, you know what, Brian? They go down to Southern Florida, or they go down to Florida at any point, and that seems to be a really crappy situation for them every time. I can remember Lawrence Timmons throwing up, and the last time they played the Jaguars there was tight. The Jaguars had owned them at Heinz Field twice the year before that. That was 2017. 2018 is when Ben ran the ball in about as slow a motion as you can get. He's probably half that speed now, and stretched out, laid out for a touchdown. That was forcing the ball to Antonio Brown, Jalen Ramsey, picking them off in the end zone, maybe even more than once, if I recall. I was at that game. But I was up in the rafters of the building, but almost went this time. I'd like to be in some better weather. It'd probably help with the nasal passage here. So what do you think about this? Because we always say there's no such thing as a trap game. Every game in the NFL, there's parity. There's parity. They're professional football teams, and they're going to play each other hard. And every team, Steelers especially, always have a target on their back. They're undefeated. They have multiple targets on their back, but every team is going to play this up in the locker room, get hyped, and try and come out and knock them off the hill, off the mountain.
Absolutely. You want to beat the best. Currently, they're the best because they haven't lost yet. Look, I don't like going to Jacksonville. I don't like it. I posted that on Twitter today. I don't like Jacksonville, not because of Jacksonville. I'm sure it's a lovely town. I enjoy driving through it. I don't want the Steelers to go into Jacksonville. There's something about Florida, the water. I don't know what it is. The heat. I don't know. I don't like it.
Duval County.
Yeah, it makes me nervous going to Jacksonville. But that being said, this is not those last two teams that manhandled the Steelers, right? This is not those teams. Who's the quarterback of this team now? Fred Flintstone? I don't even remember what the guy's name is.
Jake Luton.
Jake Luton. Luton cough drops. What the hell? Who cares?
Luton free.
Luton free. I'm not. The team doesn't scare you. They just don't scare you. I mean, I know they got this running back that has been having a hell of a season and was an undrafted guy. But this team doesn't scare you. But it's like going to Philadelphia. We talked about this in the past. They get killed when they come to Philly. Doesn't matter how good the team is. Doesn't matter how good the Eagles are. When they come here, they lose. I don't like going to Jacksonville because it's got bad omens. I don't believe in trap games, but damn it, I do believe in omens. And yeah, I hurt my wrist. I don't know what I did to it.
Maybe you're looking at something other than the Steelers stuff on the computer, Brian.
It's tendinitis. I don't know what it is.
It's his right hand, too. I mean, my right-hand guy, and he has no right hand. I mean, what the heck?
It's my Thanos glove. Cam Hayward, I'm so jealous of him.
Yeah, of course. Well, you kind of did the same thing. You had all the rings here on one of the videos not too long ago.
Yeah, they're sitting back there.
But I'm sure some people are thinking some different things here. I mean, they've lost. The Jaguars have lost 8 straight games. Yeah. Last week they played the Packers pretty tough, but there's another side to that. And the Packers were at home. The Packers played like crap. Did you watch that?
Packers don't impress me. No, I don't. Why would I watch the Packers? Screw them.
Yeah, I know. We're not Aaron Rodgers lovers here by any means. I mean, the Packers, this game had the Jaguars go up 3-0 on a Chase McLaughlin 52-yard field goal. It took a 78-yard blown coverage pass to Marquez Valdez-Scantling in order for Green Bay to go up. Then they went down again because their special teams were absolutely awful too. Make no mistake about it. Green Bay's special teams were the drizzling you-know-what last Sunday. And Keelan Cole had a 91-yard punt return. I think he's a fine player. They do have some receivers, but this Jake Luton he likes Chris Conley because, you see this all the time. A guy comes in, he's working with the guys that are primarily his. He's working with
the practice squad. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Whatever it is, the scout team. That's what I'm trying to say.
Scout team, whatever reps that they get. So you see this often. Aaron Rodgers pulls one out of his rear end, runs in a 5-yard touchdown. I'm watching this game. They get a field goal. Then Keelan Cole gets a 12-yard pass from Luton. But Luton, he throws the ball away here or there. He moves in the pocket. His one interception really wasn't his mistake. He had a receiver fall down. They gave him kind of a scare, okay? They end up, the Jaguars they lose 24-20. They can't come back and generate much of anything else because, quite frankly, they're not really they're not a good football team. I mean, that's
Right.
you can't put it any other way. Green Bay outpossessed them a little bit. Green Bay got 2 sacks at the very end of this game, so you look at the 3 sacks overall. They didn't get a lot of pressure on this Jake Luton either, and I put that a lot on Green Bay's defense. Their inside linebackers, I think, have been pitiful, and I think that's the reason why James Robinson carried the ball 23 for 109 on them. And, Luton tried to look for him out of the backfield a little bit. They're not on the same page with the passing game. You're going to have some of these errant passes that are all over the place. You had Green Bay go for it on 4th down, and Aaron Rodgers throw up like a prayer that was almost picked off, essentially kind of like a punt in that sense. And, I just look at it as some people are looking at that as the barometer. If you didn't watch that game, you don't see the whole story just looking at the box score. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I don't know that necessarily you should use that as a measuring stick. The other thing I'm going to say, well, I'm going to get to this after, but I think Jacksonville's just not a very good team.
They're not. I mean, it does. The thing is, it doesn't matter to a certain extent because whether you're a great team or a bad team, the variance between that, right? Once you get to the NFL, it's not that great. So there's a reason any given Sunday, right? I don't know. There's no good reason this team should lose to that squad, right? There isn't. Some of their strengths expose Jacksonville's weaknesses. And so there is no good reason that they should lose. Doesn't mean they won't. But I'd like to think that they won't.
Yeah, and this isn't like the Gardner Minshew magic either.
No, there's no mustache magic. That porn stash is gone for the moment.
I didn't necessarily think he was a terrible quarterback either. He was capable. He took risks. He was a gunslinger.
Yeah,
he's capable of. They're capable of maybe putting up points with him. I think the Steelers' defense is a different breed. They had a 2-point loss to the Houston Texans. That's also an interdivisional type game, so they're a little more familiar with the opponent also, and they played that one at home as well. I think playing at home helps them some. I also think it helps the Steelers. You don't have Ben, who is the FedEx Air Player of the Week, even with the wins that we're whipping around. Let's talk about that a little bit here. We know that one of the starting cornerbacks for the Jaguars, and I got to find his name now, but he was just put on IR. Yep. That really doesn't help them much either.
I don't remember his name is. Yeah,
but everybody, a lot of people, they're talking about. I thought it was like Robinson or something. I got to find the name.
I can't remember.
Although I might be thinking about Cam Robinson, who's on their offensive line. I'll have to find this. A lot of people complaining about Ben Roethlisberger in the deep ball, and it's like. What are you complaining about? Do you remember when it was like the Sammy Coates show and then they said all the Steelers do is win with this deep pass, live or die? You can't have it both ways. You really can't. And when Chase Claypool's getting held and you get pass interference, it's the same deal as completing it. What's the problem?
Yeah. Look, has he been perfect? No. But, here's... okay.
Well, how many what was his percent? What was it? His completion percentage is like nearing 70% in a lot of these cases.
But the vast majority of those passes are underneath, right? If they take 3-4 shots down the field in a game, that you understand, right? It does sometimes seems like anytime it's 3rd and 1, they're going to take a shot 70 yards down the field, but it's not true. That's just a perception that sometimes comes up. But here's the thing. Ben's arm is probably stronger than it's been in a long time. And he's not used to it yet, or he wasn't early in the season, right? So you got to get that timing right. He's even said, I feel stronger than I have. You get that. You just got to get the muscle memory back, get the coordination back, get the timing back. And in a lot of cases, as you've pointed out, Chase is not there because either he's been held, he's been interfered with, maybe early on the timing wasn't there and he gave up on a route. I know DJ, who the hell? Derek? I can't remember. Who the hell's on our team? I've forgotten everybody now. Deontay Johnson. He's given up on a couple routes when he shouldn't have early in the season, and so it's just getting things together. I don't think his deep ball is that bad. It just hasn't clicked yet, and once it does, that is going to be scary.
You know, that's exactly it. I'm not looking for this is always like some type of narrative. They're not taking shots downfield. Then they do, and it's like every one of these things should be completed. You know, in all seriousness, and let me be a little funny. I'm about to say seriousness, and I'm about to bring up Madden video games. You know, I have the little video game blog I do on the side, too. I just did Madden 94 for the Super Nintendo. And there used to be like an all streaks or a Hail Mary play that if you flipped the play, you mirrored it, the one receiver was a bug in the game would always be wide open. And that's what people think this is. They think that the NFL works just like a video game, just like that, and it's always going to be an instant completion. And the underneath stuff is because Deontay Johnson, second most broken tackles of anybody, going back to some period last year that Pro Football Focus, cherry-picked, of course, but still very shifty, and we talked about it here even on this program. They try and get him the ball in space because you see what he ends up doing. Yeah. And that's what I see happening. I mean, you got Miles Jack. You got some of these guys on the Jacksonville defense, Josh Allen. Sidney Jones had like 2 layups for picks, and I'm trying not to cough here, by the way, so I'm kicking it to you a little bit so I don't cough at everyone's ear. I can tell you, man, it's like the hairball just keeps coming as I'm talking, but I'm going to get through this.
All right, Bill the cat.
So it was, I don't want to call it a fluke, but I don't think they have a whole lot here on defense. I just think the Packers played like crap. I think even if the Steelers play like crap, they're going to get 20-some points, and the Steelers' defense is better than what the Packers' defense is, and they're not giving up anywhere near 20.
Yeah, that's the key difference here is whether the Steelers' offense is running at full power or not, whether they're all in sync or not. The Steelers' defense is way better than Green Bay's defense is. It's not really comparable. I don't think that Jacksonville should be able to score many points. It will. If they do, it's because the offense turned the ball over, which they haven't been doing. So I need some wood to knock on to make sure that doesn't happen.
Right on the noggin.
Yeah, there you go. Wooden head. That's me. I just don't think that these two teams are in the same conversation. They just shouldn't be. Again, it doesn't mean they play down to a team. If you just have a bad game, you have a bad game, right? It happens. But the defense really shouldn't let this team score much at all. I think Luton doesn't like pressure. Not that any quarterback loves pressure, except for Ben, who is always better after he gets contact. But Luton doesn't like pressure, and they're going to pressure him. They pressure every quarterback more than anybody else in the league. TJ and Bud, I'm telling you, Bud's going to kill somebody before the end of the season, and it might be this guy.
It could be. I still have that image of Matt Moore in the playoff games from the Dolphins.
Exactly. And if Bud hits some guy running at full steam, man, it's, who knows? Who's the quarterback after Luton? I don't even know.
They might be putting in a tight end or somebody by that point. I meant to look up their injury report outside of what we already know, and I'm going to see because for whatever reason, some of these teams, they practice at different times and publish things at different whatever. So I went and I looked at this. Let me see. I was trying to see if DJ Chark's been in and out of this lineup. Yeah. He's certainly a threat if you're looking at the other side of the ball here. Let me see here. They still have
time to throw it to him.
They still have Week 9's injury reports up for the Jaguars on their website, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. I can't even tell you, based on last week, you had limited practice for Miles Jack and Sidney Jones. I believe both of them played. I think it was Tyler Eifert was the one that was responsible for one of the interceptions in that game too. Trying to see who else. Who was and who wasn't here. This is just, God, man. They had a ton of people on the injury report last week. Whereas the Steelers look to be almost pretty much at full strength. I think you got an illness with J-Ron Elliott.
Jalen probably wasn't going to play much probably wasn't going to play much anyway.
There is anyone of consequence, and then for everyone who's talking about Derek Watt and hey, we said this before too, and let's bring it back and we'll throw this one with the professor with some credit. because Tyler Matakevich makes more money than Derek Watt does. So if you're going to complain about what a fullback is making, he's not necessarily a fullback. It just means he's a special guy. He's a special teams ace who happens to come in for a few plays on offense as well. He's the versatility is something that Mike Tomlin likes. Rosie Nix was in that same category, but unfortunately, whatever happened to him, a knee or whatever, had to have just totally taken his career out. It kind of sucks. It's really a shame. Really a shame. And they didn't even know he could catch the ball until they played Baltimore that one year and bent through them, and he was surprised they even came that way. But, I was looking who was I looking for on their depth chart? I don't even remember. We were looking for – I don't remember. In fact, you know what? It's Jacksonville. These NFL teams all use the same template, and you would think that they could figure out whoever's in charge of this. So let me see here. And I know inactive last week, Laviska Shenault, he was one of the rookies who will not be competing for Rookie of the Year. We know that Chase Claypool, by the way, was snubbed. Everybody but us, because we don't need to do the clickbait articles. And by the way, we just retweeted the original one from ESPN. Everybody else put that out on their Steelers sites, and it was such a big to-do. And it's like, who cares? I don't even know. The guys that are over there that come up with these things are just the Stephen A. Smiths and stuff of the world. Are just Stephen A. Smith he's not even an NFL guy originally. He's a basketball guy, you know. They're just into the hot takes. But let me see. I was trying to see who just ended up can't find it. Do I have him listed? It wasn't DJ Hayden. I think DJ Hayden was already gone. I don't know what they're doing with this website. I feel like I feel, you know, when we talk about the least prepared, whatever, I was prepared. I have a lot of nice things to say here. But this is just insane. I can't believe they don't have this on. It was CJ Henderson. He is not listed right now on Jaguars.com under their reserve injured list. He's still on their depth chart here. Yeah, he's listed as their starting left corner still. So's DJ Hayden, by the way, who is listed on IR on here. I can't figure this out to save my life. You're familiar with a few of these guys. Joe Schobert, he used to play for the Browns. Quality, he's a tackling machine. We know about Miles Jack and some of these other guys, but there's not a whole lot here. This is the problem we've had for the last 3 weeks. We're like, how did this other team end up being competitive? And I just don't see it when you match some of this up. We talked about the deep ball. I want to rewind 1 second, too, back to Derek Watt. We think we might see a little bit more of him, but anybody complaining about his salary, please, look, he plays special teams. We know he's been hurt. Don't hold that against him. Would you have rather paid more money for Tyler Matakevich, who you don't want on the field for defense, or the guy that does play special teams and you do want on, and when they have jumbo packages and whatnot? So
look, he was hired for special teams. That's what he was hired for. The fact that he's a fullback doesn't mean that that's what he was hired for. He was hired as a special teams guy.
Oh no, he was only hired because his last name's Watt. You tend to forget that. But, and everybody else that's still. Please stop circulating.
Ultimate Hall of Famer, right? He's a Hall of Famer because his name is Watt, and therefore he needs to be on the field every down.
Please stop circulating the fake J.J. Watt quote about him wanting to come to the Steelers. It's really annoying. And it's like, who do you want to sit, Cam Hayward or Stephon Tuitt? It's ridiculous. So getting back to this game here, which I thought I got enough of a break to clear my throat, and it's still not working out for me. I got a point to make here. We think Mike Tomlin. Do you think there's been a problem running the ball?
Has there been a problem running the ball? The problem with running the ball is teams are stacking the box. You're getting 8, 9 guys up in the box, and you can't run into that front. It's just not going to work that well. So has there been a problem? The problem is simply that teams are committing to stopping the run. They ain't going to be able to continue to do that with the way Ben's throwing the ball.
I got something else to add to that. Do you think the Ravens have a decent defense?
Yes.
The Ravens came off a bye.
Yes.
What's it like after a team plays the Steelers or Ravens?
They're beat up.
They're beat up. Look at the Titans. They lost to the Bengals. Okay. Let me see what happened.
May not be a great example because the Titans have stunk since that game.
Well, they got exposed as rightfully so. I'm not going to say the Ravens necessarily had a problem with the Colts. It looked like they were going to threaten for a minute, and then, of course, Phillip Rivers turns into the pumpkin that he is instead of the Cinderella story that you would have. But the Ravens lose to the Patriots. And everybody's going to say, oh, well, it was like raining and everything. Well, the Patriots have to play in that weather, too, and they were supposed to stink. So are they playing down the crappy teams? Does the same thing hold right there? So I got the one. They're going to play the Titans this weekend. They got them at home. Baltimore does. I'm wondering if that's going to be a trap game, to be completely honest. We'll see. I think the Titans' defense is a little weak. But the picture I was making out was Ravens off a bye week. Stop the run. Force the Steelers to throw the ball. See if Ben's arm's gimpy. Steelers limp out of that road game to another road game in Dallas, where they get some players back or some guys that have just been coming back that they didn't have the entire time. So you look and see, oh, well, they're a terrible defense to an extent. When they didn't have Leighton Vander Esch, they brought in Randy Gregory, things of that nature. And they get a few. I mean, Leighton Vander Esch is the guy we wanted before we ended up getting Devin Bush. So. Yeah.
But and there's a point to be made there. They changed the defensive front. Dallas played a bare front in that game, and that was different than they'd played all season long. So, again, you look at what they're doing. Teams are committing to trying to stop the running game, and they're letting Ben throw. And if that they're going to change that. They can't keep doing it because it doesn't work.
It's not now. They haven't been attempting as many passes or as many runs either. So when you don't run as much, you're not going to have all these yards that are going to pile up. But before that, and heading into this weekend, what did I say? James Conner's like 12th in the league in rushing yards, and he missed most of the first game. You had Betty Snell get 100 yards against the Giants. So you can't necessarily say that they're not incapable of running the ball. You go to last week, they play the Bengals. Bengals are off a bye week, too. Bengals are trying to load it up and stack the box there, too. So, although I feel they should have run, why force it?
Well, because you can't. The thing is, you can't run into that front. That's what we talked about several weeks ago, where Ben needs to switch out of certain things. You don't have to worry about switching out of certain things if you don't call those plays. You can't run into that front. It's not as easy to do. And so, yes, you have to stay honest. You have to tempt it a little bit. Otherwise, they just tee off on the pass. But you gotta understand the situations that you're in. You're not going to run heavy into that front.
And you make that good point. Everybody's like, oh, well, Ben's calling these plays. We like when Ben calls the plays. Why isn't Ben checking out of this stuff? Why isn't there some calls for some play action every now and then? That's what I want to see. Yeah. I mean, it's a little harder when you're in shotgun. The guy never goes under center. But there was one time in that Bengals game where they totally whiffed on the run.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a little fake handoff. That's like every play for the Ravens. And it's like, you know what I mean? Now, Lamar Jackson's been a little whiny baby about people calling out his plays at the line of scrimmage and everything like that, and have people figured them out. So the Steelers aren't the only team who gets this flack. But I think it's also kind of silly to say the Steelers are the worst 9-0 team in NFL history, as people want to downplay it, their success thus far, when the Kansas City Chiefs opponents have actually lost more games than the Steelers opponents have thus far when you look at the schedule and you look at the records. And, of course, the Ravens are going to be like, well, we played the Chiefs, and then you played the Patriots and the Steelers, all far superior teams, apparently. So
this is what I'm going to say. Continue to disrespect us. I don't care. Continue to disrespect the team so that they can keep that chip on their shoulder the rest of the season. I'm fine with that. Don't give them credit for anything. I'm fine with that. Just let it keep going. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, throw another log on the fire. That's just what the Steelers need. Just keep them motivated to be even more focused every week.
You get into don't give them the big head. I don't want them to get the big head. Don't start sucking up to them and telling how great they are, because I don't want to hear that. Continue to say they stink so that they can get PO'd.
So, Steelers offense puts up 36 points after it's like, oh, are they regressing? Is this team any good? This and that, you know what I mean? They've put up 38 and 36. They're not getting enough credit for putting up a lot of points. I know back in the day there was like some Ben or Todd Haley thing, or with Todd Haley's offense, about this claim that they're going to score 30 a game, and then when they didn't do it, of course, comes back to bite you in the rear end, because people will always remind you of the things you promised like that. So bringing this kind of full circle with the running game, and Mike Tomlin in his presser was talking about, they bring it up, of course. Do I think that they'll be focused on that this Sunday? Here's my thought process on it. Yes and no. I don't think it's going to be so much that it dictates what they do, especially out the gate. But I think as soon as, if they get up enough in this game, you're going to see, not necessarily maybe James Conner, but I think they put up 150 yards, Brian. And there's a few reasons why. You can read about all of them over at steelcityunderground.com, of course. But I'm saying the run game goes over 150, and that's because the Jaguars, they're not good against the run. They're 31st against points allowed, 30th against the pass, 25th against the run. And I don't see necessarily James Conner maybe having the 100-yard game. I don't even know that you want to give him more than 20 carries. You don't want to risk him getting hurt. You want these guys to stay healthy. I think there'll be a rotation. I think that's been a Mike Tomlin staple of getting more guys involved, treating this as two games together almost with Thursday night. I've seen a pattern with that in the past. So you're going to probably maybe even see Ray McLeod, for example. There's a guy that you might get more involved. Maybe Zach Gentry. It would have been Vance McDonald. I don't think Vance McDonald has been cleared as of yet.
I don't think so.
Not yet, so he may still be out. You may even see somebody like Kevin Dotson come in, or Mason Rudolph come in, like you did last week. It all depends on the game script. But the Bengals ran for 205 on this team. They're not very strong. Defensively, they've given up 100 yards in all but 2 of their 9 games. They've given up 88 to the Colts, 123, 138, 205, 129, 180, 135. They went on the bye, 107, and the Packers then only ran for 80 because the Packers kept shooting themselves in the foot and then throwing the ball and trying to win the game. They went to the pass instead of sticking with Aaron Jones there. I don't necessarily know that they stopped the run game. There's some things there where they have. But just looking at overall the averages, the baseline here, you're looking at 120, 130 yards. It gets, okay, the Titans twice, but the Miami Dolphins, 138 yards. The Bengals, 205 to Joe Mixon and company. David Johnson, 129. I don't even know if the Lions, do they even have DeAndre Swift at this point? Who do they even have as a running back to run for 180 yards in this game? I'm looking at it. Yeah, they did have Swift. Swift got 116. Must have just come back. I know he was banged up originally. And then they give up 135 to the Chargers. Now, this one's kind of fun because the Chargers here, they did not. They had, let me see, they had Josh Kelly, Joe Reed, Justin Jackson, Tyron Johnson, and Tremaine Pope. Who are those guys? Who is that masked man? I just don't see how the Jaguars are going to contain the Steelers to under 100 rushing yards. And all of a sudden it'll be Mike Tomlin revived the running game. No, it's going to be this team stinks, and there's nothing they're going to be able to do to prevent the ship from sinking. And it's going to be a completely different game script as opposed to having teams that are coming off of bye weeks or playing somebody after they played the Ravens. So I think this really behooves the Steelers too, because if they get a little bit of rest and a little bit of a break in this game, then you're starting to look ahead to the Ravens. If the Titans give the Ravens any kind of fits, then the Ravens have to come on the road in a short week into Heinz Field on Thanksgiving, primetime, big matchup against what we are projecting to be a 10-0 unbeaten Steelers team that says, screw you, we're going 11-0, and we're putting the rest of the dirt on this grave that is going to be for the Ravens, and we're going to take the AFC North title outright.
Yeah, let me start with the run game. I don't disagree with you. I think that there's certainly a chance that that's the case. Now, if the Jaguars go all out, to try and stop the run and do what the Bengals did and what the Cowboys did, and try and commit to taking that away. We'll see, but they're not good enough to do that, right? Because they can't. Their pass defense isn't going to stand up to that, so they can't. I don't think they can. So I don't disagree with you. I think there's a good chance that is in fact the case, that they can certainly hit for over 100 and maybe 150 yards. I'd like to see Anthony McFarland get involved in this game, and I don't know if he's still on the injury report or not. I didn't look, but if he's not. If he's cleared to play, I'd like to see him get involved in this game simply because he gives them that outside speed.
I thought Anthony McFarland was an illness deal. Of course, I have everybody up. I have Benny Snell up right now. I'm looking at Benny Snell. No, what year? This is last year's Benny Snell stats. Just because I was like, you know what? I think you could give this guy the rock a little bit. 17 for 75 against the Chargers, 21 for 98 against the Bengals on the road, 16-63 against the Browns game, the one that was at Hines, the better one. He had 16 for 41 against the Cardinals. That was kind of meh. And then Connor came back against the Bills and Jets, and then he had 18 for 91 in that really crappy game that was the Week 17. Let me see. I got the Steelers injury report coming, but before,
I just checked. He's been a full participant the last couple days, so he should be around.
Yeah, I didn't see. Like I said, no one was really major. Anthony McFarland, that was originally illness last week, so I was right on that. You have Mike Hilton too, which is going to be a nice big boon to this defense. I had mentioned Trey Edmonds potentially getting involved in this too, but it looks like he's down with the hamstring. So you have him, Jalen Samuels with the quadricep, and Jaron Elliott, a linebacker, with illness. All the other guys, Isaiah Buggs was even back. He had an ankle. They let him sit on Wednesday. The other guys that sat were, Juju, Ben, your three Pro Bowl offensive linemen, Pouncey, DeCastro, Villanueva, who, yes, I think they have to get a little bit better here. I don't think it's been smooth sailing, but at the same time, you got some new components that you've been trying to gel with as well. Matt Filer slid over. You originally had Zach Banner. Now you have Chuks Okorafor. Another big thing that was missed last week too, Brian, your swing tackle Gerald Hawkins was not available for that game either. So what did we say? We goofed. Derek Watt didn't. I don't think Derek Watt played in that game either. Somebody corrected us. Maybe it was the week before, whatever it was. But Derek Watt hasn't been available largely too. So you're going to have these guys, and that's going to make a big difference when it comes to your schemes and things that you're going to be able to run and do differently as well. So the only thing I could see, you got over-under here. This is interesting. The Steelers are giving. They're minus 10.5 on the spread here. And an over-under of 46. And I don't know how the Jaguars get anywhere near helping push this over. The Steelers would have to score 40 points, I think, for this to get. And it's possible they could get 30-some. James Robinson, I understand, undrafted guy having a great season. But just for all intents and purposes here, the only thing that's really going to hurt them, they like to do a lot of this little outside, a lot of sweeps, tosses, outside runs.
That's not going to work.
Well, they're trying to do that because they're trying to get the Packers and their defensive linemen, out of the way. There's Zadarius Smith and those type of guys. And they're probably going to try and do similar in this game, and that's just not going to work with the way the Steelers' corners are. Guys like Mike Hilton, even Spilly.
And the speed that we have on the outside with Bud and TJ, they're not going to hit the edges. The Steelers are too fast, and they can stretch those plays out. It's not going to work.
Yep, absolutely. So, I don't know if you take. I'd stay away from the gambling here. I wouldn't get anywhere near either of these. If you really want to give 10.5, be my guest. But I don't know that I would necessarily go that far. What you're probably looking at is you're going to give up a garbage time touchdown that's going to make you really mad and want to start punching walls. So, because if the Steelers really do have a lead here and they start putting some other guys in, then that's going to give the Jaguars an opportunity and things of that nature. And that's what I hope. That's where I hope the game script is. I don't want any of this to come down to the last second or anything like that. So, but anyways, Brian, hey, it's good to get back on the horn here. And
Absolutely.
Hopefully we do some more. And for some reason, my camera mount thing was like, it was like
Making me
sinking
dizzy.
on me. No, it's like sinking. It's like sinking. It's Cinco de
I've been
Mayo.
good.
over here.
I only did that little bit in the front. I didn't even do this, which I was going to do several times.
Oh, geez. Save that. We'll need that probably for Turkey Day.
Yeah.
So,
I do want to say this. I'm going to make my bold prediction because, damn it, one of these weeks I'm going to get this right. 7 sacks.
I went for it last week.
I know.
I don't really know. I don't know how much I get to this guy.
Going with it. I'm going with it. 7. I'm saying 7 sacks every week until they finally get 7 sacks.
Well, I'm actually trying to look and see how many sacks they've given up. Oh, they've given up 28. There's one that was considered James Robinson here, probably like a trick play. So like 27 over 9 games. Kind of the same thing as Cincinnati. But I think with Minshew, maybe a little more mobile. They've already gotten Luton. They've gotten to Luton twice. And again, that was the Texans and the Packers. And like I'm sorry, not twice, but 5 times. 2 games, or 2 sacks, I mean, with the Texans and 3 with the Packers, and some of those were right there at the end of the game. I'm going to figure out what's going on with this thing. It's getting a little limp here, Brian. That's what she said, right? So, anyways, thanks for joining me once again. Don't
Always
forget.
a pleasure.
Yeah, don't forget to tip your server. I'll be here for the duration. So you could do that by liking, commenting, subscribing. Enjoy the game this weekend, folks. If this goes any lower, you're going to see the shorts that I have on that match my hat. They're shorts. They're actual shorts. They're not like boxers or underwear or anything like that.
No.
So, and for the people just listening, I don't know what's going on. The camera mount, it keeps sinking here. I'm always trying to find a new solution and improve all this stuff. And looks like back to the drawing board, Brian. So, but the Steelers will be there. My prediction's the running game, 150 yards on the ground, and yours is this defense, 7 sacks. I like that for
7 sacks, 2 turnovers.
I like that for Thursday. They're going to get the turnovers. There's no doubt. They have like the longest streak in the NFL. It's not NFL history yet, is it? It's close.
It's close. For sacks, it's close. I don't know about turnovers.
Yeah, but they've had a turnover in like every game in like an eon, so it's been a long time. I'll have to look that one up later as well. So, folks, that'll do it for us here. My name's Joe. His name's Brian. And as always, we encourage everyone out there each and every time to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.